Welcome and thank you for watching the EKU Alternative Breaks program webinar. We're here to offer you information about EKU's Alternative Spring Breaks program for spring 2017. My name is Will Keaton and I serve as the Assistant Director of Student Life for Community Service and serve as the Program Coordinator for the Alternative Break program. And also on today's webcast is Jordan.
I'm Jordan Kreider. I am the student coordinator for Alternative Breaks and past all breaker.
So, Eastern Kentucky University is proud to be celebrating this year its end of its first decade of Alternative Breaks. Since 2006-2007, we have been running Alternative Break programs across the country. We began 10 years ago when students volunteered with our connections to Habitat for Humanity in helping respond to Hurricane Katrina and other events across the country. For the past 10 years, our program has grown to where we now are able to engage over 100 students each year. So Jordan's going to share a little about what an Alt Break is.
So an Alternative Break is a program where students can travel somewhere in the United States and they get to engage in a week of volunteering and of having fun with a group of students. Whenever a student goes an Alternative Break, they'll get to experience different environmental, cultural, and socio-economical backgrounds. They'll get to learn about the issues that the community that's hosting them faces, and they'll get to have fun with the group of like-minded individuals.
So this year we are offering 7 alternative spring break trips, and we're going to get to share information with you about each of those trips today. Our first trip is What Does a Home Mean to You? Affordable Housing as a Pathway Out of Poverty. This trip is located in Charleston, South Carolina, and is our original alternative spring break trip. Volunteers will be able to serve with Habitat for Humanity Sea Island, as well as East Cooper Habitat for Humanity, as part of Habitat for Humanity's Collegiate Challenge program, which allows for college students to work with Habitat affiliates for the past 25 years in helping construct affordable housing for home buyers at a zero-interest loan. This program also allows for 2 different teams to work with the 2 different Habitat for affiliates in the Charleston, South Carolina. One affiliate, Sea Island, is west of the Cooper River. The other is east of the Cooper River. So this trip will be a larger trip where everyone will have the opportunity to do service and will actually be staying separately in 2 teams, but have the opportunity to come together for fun activities and learning activities throughout the week. The cost of this trip is $375. And there are several learning and fun experiences that you can do on the trip.
Volunteers will have the chance to visit various historical sites. This includes like Fort Sumter, museums, lighthouses, and they'll get to check out the beaches of Charleston, which is awesome.
The second trip we're offering this year is Construction and Conservation's Tools for Disaster Recovery and Prevention. This is located in New Orleans, Louisiana, and is our second oldest alternative break trip. On this trip, people will be able to volunteer with the issue of disaster recovery, and we actually have 2 separate tracks for this trip that people can apply for, but everyone on the trip will be staying at the same housing facility and engaging in educational and fun activities with each other, but then during the day, there are going to be 2 different types of service projects going on for 2 teams, up to 22 students. The first one is a conservation project, where volunteers will work with different conservancies and environmental organizations to help preserve and restore the Louisiana marshland, which are vital in interest in preventing future natural disasters, since the eroding marshland of Louisiana is oftentimes credited with the reason why the flooding from Hurricane Katrina was so bad.
The other option is there's a construction project that you can participate in. With this one, you will be working with building homes for people who lost their homes during Katrina. This will be for people with senior citizens, disabilities, and families with children who can't afford to have their homes rebuilt. This trip costs $350, and volunteers on the trip will have the opportunity to participate in things like visiting the French Quarter, the Garden District of New Orleans. They'll have the opportunity to go on ghost tours if they so choose, and to enjoy beignets and coffee at Café du Monde.
Jordan has been on this trip before, so if you do not know what a beignet is, stop by one of our information tables that we'll be offering during the spring semester and ask Jordan what a beignet is. This year we're also offering some new trips, including the key to a better community, using music education to prevent violence among youth. This trip will be located in Miami, Florida, and we'll be working with an organization called Guitars Not Guns, who work within the community to provide music education in order to provide violence prevention within the community. The cost of this trip is $550, and students will have the opportunity to visit the beaches of Miami, make possible trips to the Miami Zoo, and explore the historic areas in Miami's diverse culture. This is going to be an exciting trip, and we're excited to offer this trip for the first time.
Another trip we have is a trip to Jacksonville, Florida. The issue we'll tackle in this one is urban poverty. Students will volunteer with the Presbyterian Social Ministries, and every day on this trip you'll be participating in a different type of community service, so that students who participate on this trip will kind of get to sample all the different aspects of community service.
We call this trip Seeing the Big Picture, exploring the many sides of community service, because of the great opportunity of, if either you've never engaged in community service in a major way before, this is a great introductory trip. However, if you're on the other end of the spectrum and are looking to maybe go into a career in social work or working with nonprofits, you can really learn best practices from national award-winning nonprofit organizations, including Dignity You Wear, which is the nation's leading clothing distribution program, helping veterans with veteran success programs, or working with one of our nation's leading violence against women shelters, and being able to see all the different sides of how urban poverty can affect social issues. Also, while you're there, there are a lot of interesting and fun activities you can engage in. It seems like a lot of our trips have beaches, but Jacksonville, Florida also has a fairly nice beach. You can also spend half of a day down in St. Augustine, which is the oldest city in the continental United States.
Another trip that is new this year is the trip to Plains, Georgia. The issue associated with this trip will focus on economic development and gateway communities and national parks. This is actually one of our positive issue trips, which we'll talk about here in a second. Volunteers will work with both the Jimmy Carter National Historic Site and community organizations in the community of Plains, Georgia. And this will be to help the betterment of the community in which the park is located.
The National Park Service this year is celebrating its centennial year, so we're happy to be able to volunteer along with the National Park Service as part of this trip that we're calling 100 Years of Impact, working with national parks to advance the surrounding communities. So this trip is really focused on all the good that national parks and also state and local parks provide in their communities, and how we can provide investment for it. One of the exciting things about this trip is that volunteers will have the chance to visit the birthplace of Habitat for Humanity and many other organizations that have really shaped the culture of volunteerism. And with his health pending, we have been offered to have a chance for participants to have dinner with former President of the United States, Jimmy Carter. Plains, Georgia is his home community, and it has largely benefited being a community of only 500 residents from the growth of national parks in the area since one was dedicated to him following his presidency.
Another trip that's an oldie but a goodie is the coastal conservation trip, protecting and restoring healthy oceans and coastal ecosystems. This trip is in Outer Banks, North Carolina, and the issue involved with this trip is environmental stewardship.
Volunteers will have the opportunity to help preserve coastal forests by working with the Nature Conservancy chapter in Nags Head, along working with the North Carolina and North Carolina Coastal Federation. These is an opportunity to do different activities, including helping build oyster pots, which help build natural reefs off the coast of Carolina, to help preserve this historic place, which sadly many have worried is going to slowly erode due to coastal erosion. But it's also the place where first flight among humans ever occurred with the Wright brothers' first flight. So it's very important for us to try to work to preserve this area both environmentally and for its historical and cultural significance.
This trip costs $275, which is actually our cheapest trip. Volunteers on this trip will have the chance to visit the Wright Brothers National Museum, lighthouses, and learn about America's coastal system, both educationally and experiencing on the beaches.
One trip that doesn't have a beach but is equally fun is declaring freedom from hunger, breaking the cycle of hunger in America. This trip is located in Washington, D.C., and the issue for the trip is helping respond to hunger, homelessness, gentrification, and urban poverty in our nation's capital. Washington, D.C. is America's most food insecure city, meaning it has the most documented cases of hunger, particularly among children. So volunteers will be working with So Others Might Eat, DC Central Kitchen, and other community partners in the heart of the nation's capital. And students will have the opportunity to volunteer with different programs across the city and learn about the root causes of hunger in our nation's capital.
Volunteers on this trip will have the opportunity to go on the various tours across Washington, D.C., explore the nation's capital, and even go to the Smithsonian.
This trip is our most expensive trip at $550. However, there are a lot of great opportunities that you will be able to have on this trip, and also our housing accommodations for this trip are at the National 4-H Conference Center, so you will actually have the opportunity to engage with other individuals who are in DC for learning experiences. And I also hear they have an outdoor basketball court. So even during the downtime on the trip, there's still opportunities to engage and have fun. So how do you apply? Sign-ups are on a first-come and first-served basis for all EKU students. Sign-ups take place online on OrgSync in the EKU Alternative Break portal. Once you have completed an application by selecting the trip and clicking the sign-up button and filling out a short application form, we ask that you pay an application fee of $25 using TouchNet. You'll receive an email with a link to TouchNet for you to pay the application fee. And once you pay the $25 fee, we will process your application. These applications are not evaluated on any exclusion. Anyone is able to come on these trips. The applications are mainly for us to be able to gather information that we need to know in advance, like dietary restrictions, t-shirt sizes, and what you're hoping to get out of the trip so we can construct the best possible experience. Following being accepted on the trip, you'll have the opportunity to secure your space by putting down a deposit equal to 1/3 the cost of the trip, and each of those deposits are listed on OrgSync. You'll have 10 business days to pay the deposit, so we hope that you will sign up and secure your spot, particularly during this winter break. If you put in the code RESOLVE17, it will be a coupon code for $5 off your application fee. Sorry, I went backwards. So thank you for watching our cast day. We appreciate you watching and hope you'll consider applying for an alternative break. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us over the break.
Thank you for listening, and remember, Colonels, make it a great day or not, the choice is yours.